So, on the 10th day of Christmas, your true love gave to you a really thoroughly well-packed Revista de la Liga. Just how much good cheer and festive spirit there is around yet, I'll let you be the judge. Even for Xabi Alonso, who won and saved his job, for the short term at least. For Real Sociedad, cheer? No, they sacked their much-loved and academy legend first-team coach Sergio Francisco. But I suppose it's 5 gold rings to Raphina and Hansi Flick, and a Griezmann in a pear tree to Cholo Simeone and his newly skinhead French legend Antoine. That's the menu, plus the best of the rest, which will say nice things about Celta. So did you watch Alaves losing at home to Real Madrid? And if so, did you stay awake long enough to see what the media today are terming a stay of execution and prolonged agony for the former Real Sociedad midfielder? Yes, you can already anticipate there's a joke coming. Probably very bad taste, but you know what I want to say. A short summary of the Sunday night match, even in the deep midwinter, is that Alaves fluffed their lines. Chacho Caudet kept players like Calebe and Rebac on the pitch when they were performing as if they were Real Madrid double agents, and he failed to reach for substitutes like Carlos Alenya or Carlos Vicente until midway through the second half. It was lunacy. Alonso's team put a shift in, no question about that. Jude Bellingham strode Mendy Zarozza in Colossus mode, setting up the opening goal for Kylian Mbappe, who now has 17 in La Liga alone, and a goal every game basically for the entire season, all competitions. Bellingham scored a goal himself, which was ruled out because he'd used a hand to control the cross. And young Valdepeñas, on his debut at left back, did just fine. Courtois, of course, made one of his traditional did he produce that saves with his face this time. But the second half became a dull, listless, stodgy display by both teams, making it look perilously like Florentino Perez, watching at home on his sofa, was going to have to press that Graham Norton big red chair button and tip Xabi out of his position, despite winning. That's because the situation the 43-year-old is in has got so bad that to keep his job, according to the briefings from the Casablanca, the White House, he's on double secret probation, as Dean Vermeer called it in Animal House. Any minor indiscretion and he's out. They'll take the bar, the whole fucking bar too. Credit to John Belushi for that wonderful line. Defeat, draws, dull plays, and Xabi Alonso's out. With the Beecher's Brook hoving into view, the Super Cup in Saudi Arabia almost immediately after the new year, where Madrid's semi-final is against Atleti, who stuck 5 past them earlier this season, and then a potential Super Cup final against either Barcelona or Athletic Club. Now get this clear. Basically, Xabi needs a clean sweep from now until then and a trophy raise in order just to be left alone to do his job until the end of the season. So, Vicente once on the pitch scored a cracker for Alaves, but Vinicius and the newly reborn Rodrigo combined for 2-1 and 3 life-saving points. There was a row at the end when Tenaglia tapped Vinicius' shin and the belligerent Brazilian took a couple of steps tentatively before bambying himself downwards to the ground. VAR told the match referee they weren't interested in investigating, and the howls of anguish from across the Madrid media were a little like Yoko Ono's greatest hits LP. But the VAR referee, remember, was González Fuertes, a complete dud of an official, but who was the one on the eve of last season's Clásico Cup final that warned Madrid that referees were forming a separate union to repart a little bit of power to the people, John Lennon reference again, right on, and that Real Madrid television had better watch its step. Read into that the fact that he was the VAR man, what you will, but no penalty and no second yellow for Vinicius for diving either. So anyway, now listen here. This is the only Revista content that's free of charge, in the hope that you'll watch it, love it, and support us by clicking the link and becoming a socio. We genuinely need your support, so big love to our current socios who forked out to back us, but we need you too. £3.99 a month, 30 quid until July after the World Cup. Please back us, recommend it to a loved one or even somebody who annoys you. Buy them a season-long subscription to Revista de la Liga for 30 quid. If you buy a Christmas-themed socio present, I'll record your short Happy Christmas, Happy Holidays video that you can send to the recipient. Please click the link right now and support us. We need you to carry on. So it's up to you as to whether Real Sociedad sack the coach Sergio Francisco because they think Xabi Alonso might be available to come home in a couple of weeks. No? Okay, probably not. You're spot on there. The trigger was Friday night's 2-1 home defeat to struggling Girona, whose week had been taken up with poor old Michel, their coach, having to explain to the media that his reserve goalkeeper, Croatia's 71 times capped Dominik Livakovic, refused to play when flawed and error-prone first-choice Paulo Gazzaniga had flew on a huge temperature. Anyway, La Real have lost fuel since their little inspired run of 10 points from a possible 12 last month. And would you flip and believe it? The current run of 3 defeats has of course coincided with their captain, spiritual leader and notably big-footed Mikel Oyarzabal being absent. A couple of things stung Joaquin Aperebe, the Churiordine president, into action. Just over a month ago, Anoeta was buzzing with 37,000 fans as they won the Basque Derby 3-2 against Athletic. The Girona feat was attended by 12,000 fewer people. The public spoke. Secondly, La Real led through a nice wee goal but surrendered 2 late ones to Viktor Sigankov. The second, a lovely little front post flick, think Svedberg style. Thirdly, Girona's win didn't get them out of the bottom 3, but it did put them within 1 point of La Real, who by definition are now flirting with relegation. So out with the guy they trusted, the guy who's helped shape so many of their homegrown talents before being promoted to the first team, and in with the new, but it's unknown whom. I reiterate that they're not working their blue and white butts off to sign Jose Luis Mendilibar, but they should be. Hell, mend them if they're not. Now, let's go to the camp now. Raphina, the 5-goal rings man, finessed Barcelona past a heavily defensive Osasuna on Saturday afternoon and then told our Jamie Easton that although he scored twice from the number 10 position that he was used in, so that Lamine could play down the right and Marcus Rashford could play down the left, Raphina still regards the left wing as my position and really would rather play there without causing a big fuss, because the Brazilian is one of those anything for the team guys. For those of you who've not heard me and Pete Jensen hammering on about wee Victor Munoz, then the former Barcelona and Real Madrid academy kid, who's now at Osasuna, was again pugnacious and punishing for any Barca defender to keep up with when he set off on one of his turbocharged charges. It wasn't enough though. I think it's worth saying that Barcelona have more points this season than last, 8 more of them, and have scored more goals. Plus they have that 4-point lead on Madrid at the top of the table, but they're not playing all that well. It's often an inspired and uplifting, but it lacks consistency, accuracy, and they're finding it very hard to convert positive possession into big scores, for the meantime anyway. First clean sheet for weeks and weeks and weeks, but it probably should not have been. Osasuna were either denied a legitimate goal or should have had a penalty for a foul by Eric Garcia on Catena, but the referee allowed neither. Osasuna's coach Lisi said afterwards, "We had them where we wanted them," which is a rose-tinted view of a stolid but dull 5-4-1 defensive display, which had, I think, learned a lot from how Eintracht Frankfurt had scared Flick's team the previous Tuesday. Anyway, God bless Antoine Griezmann, because over the years, he's either been the guy who'll make us laugh, applaud for a bit of skill, or liven up the relentless coulda, woulda, shoulda, which you get after 14 years of Diego Simeone in charge of Atleti. Griezmann's lovely winner against a spunky Valencia on Saturday was his 202nd goal for Simeone, a record which only Messi with 210 for Guardiola supersedes in terms of one footballer scoring for a single coach at a Spanish club, ever. I owe him, I thank him, he's a legend, he's fantastic, a true superstar, Cholo said of Griezmann, but he isn't picking him all the time. And the Frenchman answered back that even though he's not playing a lot, and even though Atleti remain a complete Jekyll and Hyde team, he dreams of winning a 4th trophy with them before leaving or retiring. Now for the best of the rest. Mallorca. I can already hear all of you thinking about whether this is a cry for help, about whether it's worth thinking about sectioning me for my own good and handing the reins to producer Jack, or Pedro the Interceptor, or Jamie, Mr. La Liga TV Easton. But I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. Yes, some of the best entertainment to be found anywhere in Europe was actually in Mallorca on Saturday. This was a buzzing game. The stadium is lovely, it was quite full. It's not quite cooking by gas on the pitch at the moment, but this weekend the ingredients were tasty. Virgili, the Barcelona outcast, is still fan d'Abidosi, by the way. Every week he's worth the entry price on his own. He made the first goal, then hit the post with a rasper of a shot. For the 1-1 goal, it was one of those own goals where it looks like the defender's been blindfolded and a dentist has injected whatever that drug is into his legs. Maffeo? Mallorca led after Iñaki Peña decided he was Franz Beckenbauer, but the keeper played as if he'd had a couple of becks at the bar. Playing out, giving the ball back, passed it straight to Mascarell, who gently, delicately, lovingly lobbed him with ultimate class, celebrating with arms akimbo as if who else remembered he was scoring against his ex-team and then toned it down a bit with the old "pardon me, ex-club, for I have sinned." And then Mallorca cut loose. Mascarell again, late on the run, left-footed cross. It was a gem, difficult to execute, but headed home on the run by big old Pirate Marici, a Bobby Dazzler of a goal. Espanyol were the club who've been bought against the club which wants to be bought, Getafe. And the question for us now is how to deal with Diego Rico without saying the word cheat. Send him a Christmas present of a dictionary with the words rules, fair play and cheating underlined so that their meanings are clearer to him going forward compared to his very light grasp on them at the moment. Listen, every single season since 2019, Getafe have been bottom of the Fair Play League except once. So it served them right that their ex-player on the weekend, Big Burly Cabrera, nodded home a 10th set play of the season for Espanyol. They've only scored 20 goals and their umpteenth headed goal too. Clean sheet again. Well done, Espanyol. Villarreal was postponed at Levante. Good for their league position. Good for time for Levante to bed in whoever's going to be the new coach. And good for safety too, because the rain was such that the league and the federation and the local authorities decided not to risk anything given what happened a year ago in Valencia. Anyway, Sevilla. The AGM is coming up and that's usually party time. 2 years ago at this very stage, Old Man Del Nido, their former inmate president, but their most successful leader in history, demanded that the incoming president, who just happened to be his son, Jose Maria Del Nido Jr., reveal his salary. His son refused, and the dad yelled out from the shareholder section of the meeting, "Tell everybody you're a piece of shit." Anyway, the club are a couple of $100 million in debt, and a win like this one, 4-0 over Oviedo, who promptly sacked their second coach of the season, Carrion, out after 8 games, and presumably the message from the Oviedo board was, you can't carry on. But there were protests from the loyal Oviedo members, and you can understand why they're in a mess. You could hear the strains of "Can we play you every week?" coming from the desperately provoked and angry Sevilla fans, who at least got a 4-goal win. And you don't know what you're doing from Oviedo supporters to the board, who patently don't know what they're doing. Celta Athletic was a good game and an easy and a healthy win for Celta. Also, their first home win this entire season. Svedberg seems to be coming good. His second goal in 2 games started things off. But the sad thing is that even with both Williams brothers back on the pitch, Athletic continue to look a little bit tired and run down. Plus, they have a centre-half crisis. Not fun. Now, Nico Williams has scored 2 absolute goal of the season contenders this season already against Oviedo and Levante. But when he was gifted a penalty by his brother here, his effort was basically a back pass to Celta's Romanian goalkeeper Radu. Hey ho, on we go. Tonight it's Rayo against Betis, and for the meantime we're approaching Christmas. There will be one more Revista de la Liga, letter from Almeria, Gazzetta de la Liga, coming up before the end. But I want to say to you that it's been a fun and an exciting adventure this season already with you. Thank you to all our socios who've decided to support us and to be there for us. In the meantime, stay tuned. We'll have good content for socios only this week from the Balearic Islands, where Atletico Baleares play Atletico, and there'll be a build up with Jamie Easton talking about the games that he was at this weekend, including that Barcelona win over Osasuna. and then we'll preview the weekend, Pete Jensen and I, on Thursday for Friday. It's going to be the last weekend before the Christmas break. There's Cup in the middle, there'll be shocks. So in the meantime, stay tuned. We love you.